Matthew's Hope is a homeless ministry. What sets us apart is we are not just a handout. We want to give you a hand up. We want to build people towards a life of independence and self-sustainability.
How can people help support the mission of Matthew's Hope on this Giving Tuesday?
Donations.
Give on Tuesday.
Give on Tuesday.
Our focus is to love like Jesus and to allow people to grow and rebirth in a lot of ways, gaining their life back that they may have lost and in some cases may have never had. But a lot of times it's just walking alongside and advocating for people and then teaching them how to advocate for themselves.
A lot of people think of Florida and it's warm all the time.
We were in the average of about 35 people a year in Central Florida that died from exposure.
People can get frostbitten even in Florida.
Our goal is to make them as comfortable and as warm as we can to get through those times. The health issues that the homeless have to deal with during this time of year can be significant.
Hello everyone, I'm Tracy Lewis with We Are Winter Garden, and we are joined by Pastor Scott Ballou, who is the CEO and founder of Matthew's Hope, and Shelley Bradford, who is the president and executive director of Matthew's Hope. Welcome to episode 59 of Straight Talk, No BS with Matthew's Hope, where we are going to be talking about the season of giving and ways you can help support the work of Matthew's Hope. So Shelley, for someone who is just joining us, whether they're listening or watching for the first time, can you explain what Matthew's Hope is?
Matthew's Hope is a homeless ministry located in Central Florida. And what sets us apart is we are not just a handout ministry. We want to give you a hand up. We want to build people towards a life of independence and self-sustainability.
And Scott, what else should listeners know about Matthew's Hope?
I think that, to piggyback on Shelley is it really is a ministry designed to, when you say ministry, obviously God plays a role in all this. I think that gives it away.
Right.
Though it's not, we don't base what you believe and how you feel, your sexual orientation, none of that. That's between you and God can figure it out with you. Our focus is to love like Jesus and to allow people to grow and rebirth in a lot of ways, gaining their life back that they may have lost and in some cases may have never had.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to that independence and self-sufficiency, whether it's, us doing classes, but a lot of times it's just walking alongside and advocating for people and then teaching them how to advocate for themselves.
That's so good. So Tuesday this week is Giving Tuesday, and Giving Tuesday was created in 2012 as a simple idea, a day that encourages people to do good. Whether it's some of your time, a donation, or the power of your voice in your local community. Every act of generosity counts, and everyone has something to contribute towards building the better world that we all want to live in. So with that being said, how can people help support the mission of Matthew's Hope on this Giving Tuesday?
Donations.
Give on Tuesday.
Give on Tuesday. And the best way to support is when you go and make your donation on the website. Make it a sustaining donor once a month, recurring donations.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it, right?
Well, that's it. And the ways to help us throughout the year is, again, if you follow us on our Facebook pages, there's Matthew's Hope Brevard, there's Matthew's Hope Orange County. You follow us that. We will update you on our volunteer needs throughout the year. We'll involve you and then share with you these things that we need in the way of food, clothing, or hygiene. We'll let you know of special events. Some of them are fundraisers. Some of them are just opportunities to serve others. We try to use our social media platform as a place of education, but also of opportunity. Here's what's going on in a way, because there's a lot of people I have found over the years that want to serve.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know how, and they don't know where to start. And they feel it might take more than they can commit to. I have volunteers that I see a couple of times a week. We have more than one, but a few volunteers that we see almost every day. We have others that we see every other day, every other week, every other month. We have people that we only see, like right now, I can tell you, especially over in our Brevard location, all our snowbirds are coming back.
Yep.
Okay.
And they just started coming back in the last couple of weeks. And so that's been interesting. It's kind of like, oh, hey,
welcome back.
Did that much time go by?
Yeah.
And it was fun. It's been fun to hear them talk about how much they missed serving at Matthew's Hope, while they were at home. And though they did things at home, they're always telling me, hey, gee, I wish we had a Matthew's Hope, wherever home is up north.
Sure. So there's many opportunities to get involved.
Yeah, there really is.
Perfect. Giving Tuesday kicks off what is often referred to as the season of giving, which extends through the end of the year. Do you tend to see an increase in contributions during this time?
Yes, always around this time. This is probably where a good portion of our budget for the year, of our giving for the year, comes in, is at this time of year.
And does that make it difficult the other times of year for your budget and serving?
Absolutely.
It can, because you get these chunks, which, again, don't be afraid to send us a chunk.
Absolutely.
But you get these chunks, and then you're trying to figure out, just like we are in everyday life, trying to figure out how to not just be a good steward, but how do you budget that? In your day-to-day life, when you know that check is coming in weekly or bi-weekly or whatever the case is, once a month, it's easier to budget, trying to figure out how to get through the year, because often our greatest needs happen during the summer. And the summer is typically when the least amount of money comes in. People are on vacation. They're away from home. And it's not just nonprofits. Churches go through it. Synagogues go through it. I mean, everybody goes through it during the summer. I jokingly say that, people love Jesus. They just love him more in the fall. It don't, anyhow. Yeah, I know. I don't.
He almost said something.
And it wasn't as bad as people are probably thinking it is in their head now. But
That's the fun.
But the truth is, think of it as a puzzle or a guessing game. The truth is, it's for any nonprofit, not just us. It's a struggle, and since the pandemic, it has been harder than. Our first 12 years were easy compared to the last 3 or 4.
And I recognize people are probably tired of hearing us talk about the pandemic, but we were one of the nonprofits that actually made it through. And not very many people did. Was it harder for us? 100%.
Well, not only made it through, but we stayed open.
Yes, correct.
Most shuttered their doors. Most of them said, well, we can't be out there. And our team made the decision to not only be out there, we ended up expanding. And
we headed on with Fearless.
I mean, we even took on, I realize that not everybody that listens is familiar with exactly where we're at. Our locations are in Winter Garden, Florida, which is just west of Orlando by about 20 minutes. And our other locations in Brevard, which is very close to Cocoa Beach or Cape Canaveral, where the rockets take off at. And what I can tell you is that if I could remember what I was talking about, I'd tell you exactly what I was about to say.
I was so interested to learn what you were going to say. I was so interested to learn what you were going to say.
Yeah, what was it? What were we talking about?
We were talking about how not only did we move.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So we actually expanded during a time that was very, very difficult. And that first year, people really got behind us because they saw we're out there. I know where I was going with this now. So we're in West Orange County of Florida, like I said, west of Orlando. There is a very poverty-stricken area near us in East Winter Garden. And a lot of the services that were normally in that area for people in poverty just disappeared.
Right.
They went away for almost 2 years. And we made the decision. It was the only time we've made the decision to step out of just homelessness. And we made sure those people were clothed. They were fed a few times a week. I mean, we did a lot and I think the sad part is a lot of people, I don't think they realized, because everybody was locked down, they didn't realize we were out there doing all this. In fact, we ended up growing by like 500% during that time. And I can assure you, though our giving has gone up for 15 straight years, we didn't grow by 500%. So we had to get very conscious of every penny. Even to this day, Shelley and I have a conversation about every 2 weeks of, okay, where are we at? How do we pay this? Where do we do that? How do we get this done? And by the grace of God, we're here.
Yeah.
But I won't suggest for a minute it's been easy.
No, not at all.
Right. So there are many nonprofits looking for attention for donors at this time. What would you say to someone trying to decide between contributing to Matthew's Hope versus another organization?
Look at what they do with their money. Look at their 990s online. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Thank you. look at GuideStar, just make sure that they're good stewards of their money.
And a lot of times, if you just, we're pretty easy to follow because we do the podcast, weekly. We have a quarterly magazine moving forward that comes out. We get a lot of media attention because of what we do. So we're probably one of the easier ones if you're paying attention to follow follow the money trail, so to speak. And so I really do encourage people, look at what you're seeing posted, see what the relationships are in the community, what the partnerships are. Look and see when you see people like, Donnie, if you ever get a chance to go back, I think he was like towards the end of season 1 is when we had Donnie here, and through his mental health care walk and all that, get him properly medicated. What have Donnie is just a phenomenal human being. And he's come so far. We recently, just a few weeks ago, literally he went into what we call our graduate assistant program. He got his purple shirt, and that comes with more responsibilities, and it means we're kind of starting to push you out of the nest, so to speak. And that's a big thing because Donnie, where he was at, if he did not get the advocate part of what we were doing to get the medications that, our medical team and mental health care team just worked very hard to make sure he got what he needed. And he's now a productive person in the community that would have otherwise just been take. And Donnie's not someone who wants to take, he wants to give.
Right.
So, and we got many stories like that.
And that's what I love about you guys. I'm just in awe with story after story of your guests, taking these steps in the Moving Forward program and all these other things. But it doesn't just stop with them. They then turn around and like, hey, let me help you.
Yep.
I can understand what you're going through. I was there a couple months back and it's possible. So it just really, my heart I love all the stories because every guest I feel that we've talked about, that's what happens. It doesn't stop with them.
Yeah.
They go out into the community or, with another guest.
Well, and something else to know too, that a lot of people probably don't realize is that, most programs you graduate, you get a certificate. We've never handed out one.
Right.
15 years, I've never given someone a certificate. I mean, what am I getting? Anyhow. But then the relationship is done. And I can tell you that we have several of our folks over the years that we have helped guide and maneuver them through situations once they became independent again. Because again, sometimes we were their only family, but they trusted enough to come back and say, hey, I did this, or I made this mistake, or I wasn't thinking about this, or how do you feel about that? Or I'm about to do this. And so our relationships are pretty much lifelong.
Right.
It really is till death do us part.
Yeah. Shelley, what are some challenges? I'm thinking now that we're going into a different season, not only giving, but the cold season. A lot of people think of Florida and it's warm all the time, but it does get cold. I was a school crossing guard and I remember wearing hats and mittens because those mornings are really cold. And I can't imagine being out there in the middle of the night. So what challenges are the unhoused facing in this new?
Well, like you said, I mean, it does get cold and you were out during the day.
Yeah.
And not only is it cold, Florida's typically a wet climate. So that makes it even more cold. So that's always a challenge. And people can get frostbitten even in Florida.
Wow.
In fact, I haven't seen recent statistics, but I can tell you the numbers from just a few years ago is we were in the average of about 35 people a year in Central Florida that died from exposure.
Really?
That seems impossible
in
the Sunshine State for that to happen. But I think what happens is, when it gets cold enough, we do open as a cold weather shelter. Normally that's going to be a couple of days under the temperature of around 35, I think. And because your body can handle that one day pretty well. What people don't realize is what often happens is you dehydrate faster in colder weather. But because you're not perspiring, you don't know that.
You're not,
and all
thirsty.
Of a sudden, you're getting really sick because you're not perspiring and what have you. You're just losing it. You are, but you aren't like sweating to where hey, I need to drink a glass of water. And so, especially with so many of our folks having health issues, kidney issues, diabetes, and what have you, that weather is like the nail in the coffin sometimes. Right. And so, our goal is to make them as comfortable and as warm as we can to get through those times.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is that the weather can be so fickle here that you can be 85 one day and 2 days later be in the 20s.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what
And then right back up.
Yeah, that's what I want people to understand, because I'm from Minnesota. So when I am like, oh, it's 60 here, it's cold. Up there, they're like, oh, whatever. But people need to understand, like you just said, when it changes drastically. It goes 20 degrees. It goes from 80 to 60, and that's a huge jump, or 60 to
In one day.
to 40 in one day.
hours.
That's
Yeah.
We're not
Well, I can tell
used to
you,
that, so it is very cold.
beachside is absolutely brutal
Mhm.
when that wind comes off the ocean, and you're sitting there going, yeah, but it's only 45 degrees out. You put that wind behind it,
Yeah.
20 mile
There's
an hour
a wind chill.
behind it,
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
get your attention really quick.
Mhm.
So I mean that the health issues that the homeless have to deal with during this time of year can be significant.
So I know people can go to your social media pages, but can you tell us any specific donation needs that you do have this time of year in the winter months?
Please.
So we do try to have a Christmas party for our homeless guests, and any company that wants to donate an abundance of new clothing, anybody, it doesn't have to be a company,
Sure.
any individual, something that's new to them, so that they're not wearing something that is used. That's always helpful to us. We like to give fresh new backpacks, something that nobody's ever used besides them.
And I feel like we forget about the adults. We think of kids right away for Christmas time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we need to take care of our adults in our community too.
And we
young
do,
adults.
so everybody knows, I mean, we do provide Christmas.
Yes.
It is the one area that we do get outside of homelessness.
Mhm.
We provide for our homeless families that have children in our preschool and what have you, but also throughout the community, a lot of the East Winter Garden folks and what have you. And we work with a number of other ministries that serve. One that I can tell you about is Inmates of the Cross. And a friend of mine, Dennis, runs that. And what a lot of people don't realize is when someone's incarcerated, if they're getting money, that money goes to the state, not to the family. And so they are often pushed into homelessness or to the edge of it. So Dennis is trying to catch them at the end, before they become our client. But we help provide Christmas for them as well. But the adults are typically forgotten about. And we're looking for things that are useful. And give you an example, things I ask for that some people don't understand. I say, I want lightweight blankets. Well, why don't you give me a heavy blanket? Because, well, first off, with this new bill, new law that came into effect back in October,
More camping.
House Bill 1365, you can't sleep in public anymore. You can't camp. I tell people all the time, when I was homeless, it damn sure wasn't camping.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they have to be able to take their stuff with them. So I prefer light winter jackets, light blankets. Big comforters and stuff, they don't help us. And if they get wet, it's a disaster.
Done.
Everybody gets mad because they see some wet comforter sitting by a bus stop
Right.
that just got so heavy somebody didn't want to carry it anymore.
Right.
We're looking for heavier socks than we normally give out. We're looking for light mittens or light gloves, not mittens, but gloves, so they can use their fingers, but not heavy enough because they want to be able to function. And we really don't need ski gloves. They need
Sure.
just a light,
Right.
cotton type, type glove. Beanie hats, and we try to stick with dark colors also because they don't show dirt as much.
Okay.
But they just they allow people to kind of blend a little bit more than someone giving us orange shirts.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I got 100 homeless guys walking around with orange shirts looking like they just got out of prison.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. They
Listen,
come
if you got an
more-
orange shirt, we'll take it. But I'm just, hopefully we're making our point here. People always ask, they say we're picky about shoes. Well, let me just
So
touch
what kind
on
of
that.
shoes are you guys looking for?
Yeah, well, it's running or mesh style shoes.
Okay.
Because they're breathable and washable. And what I tell people, again, this time of year when it's this cold, you have not lived till you've helped someone get their boot off and you hear what sounds like little marbles in their shoe, and those are their toes.
No.
Yes. And I've experienced it more than once. It's been a number of years since I last saw it, but I have. What I tell people is the good news about gangrene, it smells like almonds, so it's not all that offensive. But the reality of it is it happens. And because when you put a shoe, a foot in a shoe, Most of these people don't take their shoes off. Your feet need to breathe now and then. So they don't take them off because they're afraid somebody's going to steal them. And if they're leather, they hold moisture.
Yeah.
When they're a running type mesh shoe, they'll breathe and they're washable if we need to. Now, if somebody wants to give us steel-toed work boots for people to work, then those come in handy. Or if they want to give us black leather skid resistant shoes for people to go to work with, those are helpful. But outside of that,
would something like Crocs be okay? Or you're just looking for sneakers?
No, Crocs makes no sense for
something that will stay on their feet.
Gotcha. Something that's safe and
Plus, again, consider if you're putting yourself out. Crocs are great. Nothing is Crocs, okay? But now think of yourself as Crocs going in to look for a job. Okay, but you're in those.
Some people might take offense.
Running shoes. Some people might. Well, hey, listen. If they're doctors and stuff and nurses, they can get by with that stuff.
Just kidding.
But seriously, you walk into most places.
Yeah.
You're going to get a once over whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
And so our goal is to first make them look like they're not homeless, and number two, make sure that they're appropriately presented, so that wherever they go, they don't give the indication that there's something less than.
Okay. And always, you guys are very good about on your social media, Facebook, Instagram, on your specific needs. So if anyone is, ready to help and donate something, they can go to your Facebook or Instagram.
And if somebody, listen, this time of year, there's times that organizations have come to us, civic groups, sometimes churches, clubs, that have said, hey, I'd like to send you $1,000 for you to go shopping. We're good with that.
Okay.
We do a couple days of shopping because we've learned how to go and stretch that money.
Yeah.
Okay. So I might go find 10 pairs of jeans for $100 and you found 4.
Right.
Because we have the contacts, we know the places to go. That said, throughout the entire year, we are always looking for gently used clothing, just casual clothing.
Something that you would camp in.
Yeah. I tell people, if you had to sleep in your car tonight with what you have on, what would you look like tomorrow morning?
Okay.
If it's a button-down shirt and stuff, chances are it's going to look wrinkled and look like you slept in your shirt. Okay. But a T-shirt, pair of jeans, it's not going to look any different than when you went to sleep the night before. And that's kind of our goal of the hiding in plain sight and being presentable all the time.
And if one doesn't have Facebook or Instagram, they can go to www.matthewshopeministries.org. That's www.matthewshopeministries.org.
And we still take old-fashioned checks too.
Okay.
We do.
If somebody wants to mail a check, they can mail it to 611 Business Park Boulevard in Winter Garden, 34787.
Suite 101.
Suite 101 in Cocoa, in a Brevard County location. It's at 825 Forest with 2 R's, Forest Avenue, Cocoa, 32922. If you have questions, you call 407-905-9500. And we'll be glad to walk you through how to do a donation or tell you what our specific need is. Or if they don't know at the time they answer, trust me, it's going to get to Shelley and I, and we're going to make sure the right person gets back with you.
Definitely. Well, thank you both for everything that you do, and enjoy this week. Thank you all for listening and watching. Thank you for Giving Tuesday. Please give, whether it be your time or your finances. And another good way to support Matthew's Hope is to like, subscribe, share, tell all of your friends so we can help support Matthew's Hope. Thank you, and see you next week.